welcome to the IIBA podcast series. My name is Amy Riddell, and today our topic is Planning Horizons, and our guest is Ryland Leighton. Ryland is a CBAP, PMP, and CSM. He's a business analyst, author, speaker, educator, agile coach, and technology translator. He has worked in the technology sector since 1998, starting off with database and web programming, gradually moving through project management, and finding his passion in the BA field. Ryland is passionate about strong analysis practice and prefers agile environments where possible. He has built both agile and waterfall SDLC processes for development teams, customizing each one to the challenges facing that particular client group. He is an active member of the Atlanta chapter of the IIBA, speaks at local, national, and international conferences, and serves as lead business analyst and agile coach at aptos.com, fostering education and professional development of BAs. Ryland is part of the core team that wrote the second edition of the Agile extension to the BABOK and the Agile Analysis Certification Exam. Ryland's book, The Agile Business Analyst, Moving from Waterfall to Agile, has received excellent critical and personal reviews. His newest book, It's About Your Career, Skills for a Lifetime of Loving Your Work, has just been released. Both are available on Amazon.com. Welcome, Ryland.
Hi, Amy. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Okay, let's get right to it. Can you walk our listeners through the three planning horizons as described in IIBA's Agile extension to the BABOK guide? And also, can you share how this is a different approach?
Sure, I'm going to be happy to. I want to give the listeners a little bit of a heads up on one thing. I'm going to be speaking about this. I mean, I'm one of the folks who wrote, who contributed to and wrote a lot of the material in this in the Agile extension. I'm going to be talking as a practitioner. I'm going to be referencing the document, but folks, if you're listening and you're taking the certification exam or you're wanting to study the material, please make sure you read the material. It's good stuff. We tried to make it interesting, and at the same time, understand I'm looking at it from a point of view of somebody who uses this on a day-to-day basis and what makes it valuable to me. So that having been said, because I don't want to get into a conflict with anybody about the book exactly says this and you said this online and what's right. There's a lot of room to be right in this space. Here's the point of the horizons. We struggled even with the term of horizons for a little while when we were writing this. We were thinking about levels and viewpoints and, what's the thing going on with this? And one reason we rejected some of the other terms was that horizons, there wasn't anything superior or inferior about any of the three horizons. They're just different ways of looking at problems. Sometimes you're looking at them from, right up against them, the 10-foot view maybe. Sometimes you're looking at the 500-foot view, and sometimes you're looking at the 10,000 level, 10,000-foot view. I'll trust everybody in Canada to convert that where necessary. and the thing we liked about it was that it let you kind of consider what you're trying to do. What's the value of the activity you're engaging in? And so forth. So let's go through the three horizons as they are in the extension. The first one, or the highest level view, the 10,000-foot view, is the strategy horizon. And at that level, you're thinking about the customer, the business need. Is a need worth satisfying? What direction should our company go, or the business, or whatever it is you are a part of? How do we, what needs are important to meet, and how do they fit together with the corporate strategy overall? What's the best bang for the buck? What are the challenges? Which of these would be easiest to accomplish? And you're doing weighted cost versus time and things like that. You're thinking about techniques like SWOT analysis, visioning. You're doing some things like high-level stuff of purpose alignment models. You're thinking big picture. And then as you move down a bit, you're saying, given that we've done this strategy work, what initiatives can we take to meet the strategies that we've identified? So at that level, you're thinking, what are the features of the software we can create? And then you're monitoring those activities to see, are we doing a successful job of it as we do things down in the delivery horizon of actually building it, which we're going to get to in a minute. So in the initiative horizon, you're saying, we have a spectrum of things we could do. Which ones are we doing and in what order and what's the value of them? Let's do those things. And you're monitoring to see if you've achieved sufficient value to move on to another thing. The delivery horizon is that 10-foot view. We're doing the thing. In agile terms, you might be completing user stories and accumulating software, you're doing your sprints. This is that level where the actual software is being constructed and you're solving problems related to that. Now, these levels, I used the wrong word, horizons, are all interconnected. There's feedback from one to the next, and I think we're going to talk about that more along the way. And you use different techniques at each one. And the way that this is a different approach is that you want to think of the activities you're doing at any given time in the context of the problem you're trying to solve. You don't revisit your strategy every week, but you do your delivery work every day. That's stand-up, typical to most Scrum teams. And then your initiative level is somewhere in between as you accumulate a number of sprints, assuming a Scrum model. You're accumulating work and saying, how is the work going? Are we accumulating sufficient work towards this problem? And then informing that back up towards strategy, saying, once in a while saying, all right, how are we doing at accumulating the work? Should we change to something else? Are we solving the problem we set out to solve? So I realize that's a lot of info dump, but I know we're going to talk about more in each level. In additional questions, and we're going to talk about more about each horizon.
Yep. So let's start with this one. As BAs, how can the horizons help define their planning and work?
So let's say you're a BA on an agile team doing Scrum, just for example. Most anybody who isn't doing Scrum can adapt what I'm about to describe. You're trying to set out at the initiative level, okay, what feature are we going to build? So you're thinking, all right, given that I've gotten that, what's the most important thing to do? Are we up against the time constraint? Are there risks we should overcome? You're looking at this given that we want to attack this given problem, what's the best way to do that? And that's a thing you might do at the beginning of a given initiative. So you're looking at that initiative horizon. Those are the kinds of questions you would ask to determine your delivery horizon work that you're going to do on a daily basis. Let's say you've decided to take an approach that minimizes the risks of the unknowns. So there's a piece of your work that you can attack without any challenges. You're doing that part last only because it's not of any worry to you. But if you can't get this other stuff done, the stuff you consider risky, then there's no point in doing the rest of the work. It would all be waste. That's one approach when you're dealing with unknowns. You attack the things that you don't know if you can do them first, because if you can't do them, you don't want to bother with any of the other work in the first place. So given that you make that kind of decision, that's the kind of thing you would make at the initiative horizon, where you're deciding, how will I approach this particular problem? And then the delivery, you're saying, all right, given that we're doing those things, given that we've chosen this path, how do we retire this risk the fastest? How do we discover the unknown the fastest? What experiments, software-wise, customer-wise, interviewing, whatever it is, can we do quickly? So you use one of these things to inform the other, and that affects your planning, given that the team has agreed to a particular business problem to solve.
Okay. How can the concept of horizons be applied to different layers of practices and techniques?
So that's a good question, and I was trying to think of how to answer it when we talked ahead of the call. Different BA practices and techniques are appropriate to different horizons. Pardon me. For example, as I started to describe before, the SWOT analysis, which is, in case anyone doesn't know on the call, that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's a technique that's typically used at the strategy and potentially the initiative layer, horizon. God, I'm going to say that wrong a few times, and everybody on the call, just understand. I mean horizons every time. Levels is just a problematic word. It's not the right one to use. Use horizons. It's less judgmental. There's really no difference to doing work at any of these different horizons. There's no higher quality if you're doing it. Anyway, the point is, you want to use the right technique for the right purpose. It's kind of like saying, you're working on something in your garage. Sometimes you need a saw. Sometimes you need a screwdriver. Sometimes you need sandpaper. You need to use the right thing at the right time. So that SWOT analysis is typically used with the conceptual opportunity analysis kind of thing to decide which opportunity should we do, or given a particular opportunity, digging down into it a little bit to say, all right, given this specific area, what should we do? But you typically don't use SWOT analysis at the delivery horizon, because now you're turning the crank to build the software, and the other things aren't as important. That SWOT analysis factor just isn't that important anymore. You'll have figured that out. It should have given information to this point. The things you would use at this level might be things like the backlog refinement, story elaboration, really working into your strong acceptance criteria. You'd be using your agile analysis principles on a very common daily basis. So you want to think of these different horizons as opportunities to use different tools. So I think I'll put a period there and let you ask another question.
Okay. Well, maybe you can elaborate a bit more on how the planning horizons can provide more value.
Okay, so I'll go on. The thing I guess I'm thinking about when I look at that is there's two kinds of things. One is it may be challenging for some organizations to deal with the concept of the different horizons. And one of the pluses of, I think, the BA space and the BA BOK is, I like to say that language is a form of technology. And by having a language by which we can talk about these different horizons and say, look, are we considering something at this, that, or the next horizon, the strategic, the initiative, or the delivery horizon? By being able to say, which kind of thing are we talking about, you help your business stakeholders to say, I think we're talking about this one, and the thing we're trying to answer is this thing. Okay, well, let me help you do that because I have a whole toolkit to do those things at any given horizon. And then you also keep them from revisiting the thing in the wrong way, right? Like I'm saying about the delivery, you're doing that on a daily basis, and then initiative, you're doing that on a sprintly or every monthly basis kind of thing, whereas your strategy should be visited at the most every month, probably more like, every 2 to 4 months, depending on the pace of change in your particular organization and context. So having ways to talk about those horizons with other parts of the business, other stakeholders in your organization, really helps create more value out of that by introducing the concept to the business owners and making sure the activity of your group is focused on the right thing, which goes back to some of our analysis work, which is agile analysis principles, which is one of which is to avoid waste. You don't want to spend a lot of time analyzing your strategy every few weeks when the truth is it shouldn't be changing every few weeks, or it's not a strategy, it's reaction. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the things to keep thinking about.
Okay, well, thank you. Ryland, on previous podcasts, we've talked about the changes taking place around the world in digital and have explored the critical importance of understanding our customer. How can the planning horizons help practitioners, teams, and organizations adapt quickly to changing customer needs and ensure value is always added?
So I think by extending the stuff we were saying about the horizons being used by different stakeholders is to help I got ahead of myself there. By using horizons with the right people to help focus thinking about the right subjects at the right time and eliminate waste, we also are able to bring in the right stakeholders at the right time to consider the problem at hand. For example, you need a lot of your dev team, all of your dev team and your technical architect, but only a few business people will probably be involved in the day-to-day sprint work. Meanwhile, the opposite is true at the strategic level. You're probably having a couple of technical team members, but you're having a lot more analysis team members in the sense of like, are we achieving our goals? What are the metrics going on? And so forth. Things that development team members are probably not involved with. That's the stakeholder group at the strategic level, where they're saying, how much change in terms of the business context have we created? How much of the solution have we filled? And is it having the impact on our business that we thought, either by bringing in more customers, higher revenue, lower costs, increasing the market space, whatever it may be. So by working with those things, we can use the right technique at the right time with the right group of people to get the right kind of answers. And because this is part of the soft skills of the world, by making sure that people know they're going to be included at the right moment, they give us their mind share at that time, as opposed to thinking we're just including them all the time. Oh, it's another call from the BA. They want to talk again, right? Because we are known for talking. You can just listen to it on the call, right? All I'm doing is talking. So, right, they want to talk about the details of this again. By respecting the right stakeholders at the right horizons, to the right tasks, we involve them in things that they find valuable and facilitate the creation of good business knowledge and good business value. And I think that's a really helpful thing when you're adapting to customer change. You need to deal with reaction to change quickly was your question, right? Adapt quickly to changing customer needs and ensuring there's always value for the customer. Well, how much has the need changed? How much has the customer ask changed? That could feed back all the way up or down that chain depending on how big it is. But you want to constrain it down to the smallest level possible to drive collaboration, drive speed, and meet the need.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Another question for you. Why is it important for a BA professional to recognize and adapt to the horizon in which they are involved with?
So that goes back to the kind of tool analogy I was making, which I think it's a good question. Some people have tools that they want to use because they love using them. But can you imagine if you were working in your garage on some kind of household project and you said, I just love sandpaper and I'm going to use it on everything no matter what the problem is? It would never work, right? You need a Phillips head screwdriver sometimes. You need a flathead wrench. And I was doing a home project the other day. I had to find a hex driver. And believe me, I'm not competent at that. It took me an hour, but it was the only thing that would do the job, and I had to find one. Similarly with BA techniques, we do certain techniques a lot, and they're kind of our go-to thing. Like most BAs I happen to know deal with process diagrams a lot, and they have their favorite way of doing it, like a swim lane or a whatever type you got, or somebody I know loves, SIPOC is another acronym some people use for them. You got to use the right thing at the right place. Doing the right thing at the wrong horizon is going to frustrate your stakeholders and destroy value. So you have to know what question you're answering and make sure you use the right tool for it. And if you can't find it, then look in the extension. It's got a lot of good information. Look in the BABOK. It's got a lot of good information. It's a good place to go to and say, oh, that's right. Those things exist. I never use them, but there's a wealth of information on it because we do tend to get into ruts. I tend to solve, unless you're somebody who's always in consulting, the problems you tend to solve are very consistent. You have to solve different flavors of the same thing, but it's very often similar problems, and you're winding up using the same techniques. You forget those other ones exist, even that you know them. So I think that's a thing for BAs to do, is to be able to look at it and say, okay, well, wait a minute, pause. This problem is really about the initiative level. It's not that we are having a hard time building software or that our strategy has changed. It's we're trying to see, is this the software we should be building to solve this problem? There's a given change. We've discovered new information. Should we keep doing this the same way? Let's take that level up a bit, get the right data, get the right stakeholders, present it in a clean way, do a requirements workshop or an assessment workshop of some kind, and then you can go from there. But if you throw a process diagram at that kind of question, it's probably not going to help it.
Yeah. Okay, well, what can a BA do to ensure they're constantly maximizing the value being delivered in the work of the organization across all three horizons?
So as I was kind of alluding to before, I think having a conversation with your, typically in Scrum would be your product owner and maybe other stakeholders behind them that hopefully you or they have relationships with, to talk about what those horizon concepts are and to say, look, we kind of look at things in these three different buckets, strategy, initiative, and delivery. Typically, I'm down here in the delivery horizon making things happen. And maybe that's been my experience, so it's what I talk about. Mm-hmm. But there are other BAs who tend to work in the strategy horizon primarily. It varies. Whatever you're doing, talk to your stakeholders and see if you can create that value and then that information for them, because maybe they need a way to talk about these problems as well. An additional thing you can do is consider holding some kind of solution evaluation discussion, which is a very common thing for BAs. When you think about our solution, we are supposed to ask, and our businesses are not always good at doing this. That's a common thing I hear from BAs. Did the thing we build affect the problem in the direction and way we expected it to? Did it grow revenue, decrease costs, increase speed, whatever it was supposed to do? What were the metrics for that thing? By having the right metrics aligned and identified with the right problems and then presenting those in the right way to the people, to the stakeholders of the right horizon, you can have a conversation that helps create more value. And, and it could be a lot of things. For example, if you have metrics about, let's just say it's sales. If you were trying to boost sales by 10% and you magically did that like almost instantly, then your question would be, should we keep doing this? Did we actually just achieve the goal early and we should start from some other goal? Mm-hmm. If you haven't achieved it at all, you might be saying, are we going the right direction? What data could we have to say, are we doing the right thing at all? And why is it not coming to what have we learned that helps us explain why we are getting the result we're getting? And that would be different at all the different horizons. But by having your concept there, by having other people in the right place, and by having some metrics about solution assessment and evaluation ready to talk to those different horizons, to different stakeholders, different horizons, you can add a tremendous amount of value. They may be, I don't want to say reluctant, but wary of creating, and just help them over that fear.
Okay. Excellent. We have time for one last question.
Okay.
Okay, ready? How? Okay, here it comes. How can business analysis professionals put the horizons into ongoing practice?
So I think I've talked about the horizons themselves and the value they have and how I like to use them as a professional. You know, I'll be honest, and people are going to think this is funny, I bet, but I honestly coach other BAs to do this, and I'm encouraging all of you who are listening to the podcast, try this and see how it goes in your next elicitation session. Because the thing I do for elicitation and the thing about the horizon concepts is very related. So when I'm doing an elicitation, I will write down my agile analysis principles on a sticky note kind of thing, on my computer or otherwise. And, I'll just kind of have the ideas there, right? Think as a customer, see the whole, think as a customer, analyze to determine what is valuable, get real using examples, understand what is doable, and then I look for opportunities also. One of them is stimulate collaboration and continuous improvement, and the last principle is avoid waste. So I actually write those as 7 separate lines on a little sticky note somewhere. Right below those, you could put down, the 3 horizons: strategy horizon, initiative horizon, and delivery horizon. Because applying those principles is different at each of the horizons. And, again, really, I'm telling you what I do. I wanted to give you the practitioner view. If I'm doing an elicitation with a number of people, I put that over there, and every once in a while I look over it and I said, okay, have I asked questions which let me see the whole? Are we all talking as a customer, or are we talking as somebody else? Because the value is delivered to the customer. So have we really done this thinking as a customer? Do I understand what value is here? Do I see what the customer finds valuable? Have we walked through some examples? Because that'll get us out of being that'll get us away from being abstract and maybe clear things up. Because as soon as you use an example, there's a lot of new information on the table. Yeah. Understanding what's doable will come from, in my case, technical professionals and maybe having an idea of what's feasible. Stimulating collaboration. I'm thinking, is there anybody else I should bring into this? And avoiding waste. Are we doing things we shouldn't be doing? Are we talking about subjects that just have no bearing on this? Are we going down rabbit holes in meetings? Or, are they talking about another project when we really need to be focused on this one because we don't have time? Those 7 things, when applied at the strategy level, the initiative level, and the delivery level. See, I did it myself. Horizon. I'm screwing it up, but it's horizons. When you think about those separate things at those different horizons, an example at the strategy horizon, it might be different. It will be different than the initiative, and definitely at the delivery horizon, where you're being really granular about exactly what's going on. An example at the strategy horizon might be, somebody would use our product to be able to rent cars faster. But at the delivery horizon, it would be, okay, exactly what are they doing to rent that car faster? What is making their checkout faster, or the shortening of time from, start to finish of getting their rental? That's how I would put this into practice. Put yourself little reminders that are out of the way, no big deal, and remember to glance back at it. And even if you forget the first few times, transparently, I did forget the first few times I did this. I'm like, oh crap, I put that sticky note there and I completely forgot to use it. But then I remembered. I started remembering it, and it's still something I do today. So I think those are ways a person can really start to put that into practice, find value, and maybe find opportunities to have the conversation to educate others on these concepts of horizons and help them use that language to gain the value that we have from this really interesting document we have called the Agile Extension.
Okay. Well, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very, very much.
It's been a pleasure. I love getting to talk with you.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed talking with you, and I'm sure the listeners are really going to enjoy this podcast. A quick question: if anybody who's out there listening wants to get in touch with you, if they have questions or just want to get your opinion or feedback, or how would they get in touch with you?
They can go to my website, rylandleighton.com. I have a contact form there, and if you fill that out, I do get the emails, and that way I know somebody wants to get in touch with me. It avoids all the spam stuff I get sometimes. And there's also some stuff there where if you register your email address, and you have to give your email address to register for the site, but then there's some agile resources there for planning and other stuff that you can get. So far, I have sent 0 emails to my email list in 3 years of collecting. So you're at almost no risk of getting spam from me. You may never even get an email from me. But that'll let you get those things. And again, the contact form is the easiest way to get a hold of me. Okay?
Okay. Well, thank you
Good.
so much. And again, on behalf of IIBA and all of us here at BA Times, we'd like to thank you very much for your time today. We look forward to presenting next month's podcast to everybody, and we hope you'll tune in then. Thanks again, and thank you, Ryland.
Thank you, Amy.